Happy New Year and a new 2021. The gift to myself on Christmas was a new cutting mat because it was badly needed, and my gift to you is a new tips and tricks videos. When I checked my playlist, I saw that one of the most popular videos is the how to make deck planks for a model ship. That was my first tips and tricks video, and unfortunately it's a really bad quality sound and also pictures. It's really not good, and it also only scratches the surface of this topic. So in this video we will go more into depth how we arrange the deck planks and what we have to take care of. So how we do deck planking, that we will see in the next video. Okay, so before we start with how to do, let us first talk about what we need. And sure, if we want to plank a model ship deck, then we need a model ship. But unfortunately, I don't have a model ship on hand. So for that reason, I made a mock-up. And let us pretend that this is the deck of your model ship. This can be the curve of the bow or the stern. This will be a hatch on the deck, and this will be some other structure like the structure of the cabin or the superstructure or whatsoever. It's not angled. Then we have a hole for the mast, and let us pretend that this is the center of the model ship. Okay, so now we have a model ship. What else we need? Planks for the deck. And I found some 0.5 by 5 millimeter wood strips, what is usually need for planking the deck, and this we will use for this presentation. So we also need tools, and one important thing is a sharp knife. This is a scalpel, but you can also use an X-Acto knife or whatever knife you are comfortable with. We also need a pencil or something to mark. Then we need a steel straight edge or linear or whatever you want to call it. Further on, we also want to go in depth how we make the caulking. That means the black strip between the planks, and for that many solutions. So let us attend 3 of them in this video. My favorite is this very thin or very fine synthetic black yarn, and this yarn specific is used for shoe repair. I found it in the hardware, and as you can see I use this since many years, and it's not even half of what the roll was before. So it's very cheap, and you can use this over years. That will be one solution. The other thing is this soft oil charcoals or soft oil pastels, what we also can use for that, or a permanent marker, a black permanent marker. But with these 3 things we go in depth later on in this video. Let us first attend how we lay down the planks on the deck. Okay, so before we cut the first plank, we have to determine how long we cut these planks. Let us pretend that in original one plank is around 6 meters, because 6 meters or 20 foot can be a realistic length of one deck plank. I think that they are shorter, but because of the mathematics I think that's the easiest way. So if you have a scale model of 1 to 60, let us take this 6000 millimeters and divided it by 60, what gives us a result of 100 millimeters for a model ship plank in 1 to 60 scale. Usually I cut my planks between 6 and 8 centimeters, but for this specific presentation I will cut them only in 4 centimeters, because so we have more material to try out the different types of caulking what we want to test with the yarn, with the oil pastel, and also with the permanent marker. So let us cut first 4 centimeter planks, and for that we need our sharp knife, or much better, but it's not needed, some of these choppers. This is the one from Amati, but don't fix it, you can buy from any other brand. So they are in specific, they are mostly the same. So let us cut 4 centimeter, and you see the one thing what is important is that you cut this in 90 degrees. Whatever you use, a chopper or a sharp knife, this should be as close as possible to 90 degrees. So let me first cut some 4 centimeter planks, and then we will continue. So there's one last step I forgot to mention. Before we cut the planks, it's important that we get rid of these fuzzy fibers from each plank. And for that we can use Scotch-Brite or some fine steel wool. And very easy, you wrap it around and then you pull it through the steel wool or the Scotch-Brite. And in the end we got rid of most of the fibers of this, and that will save us a lot of time and work later on. So when we have cut our planks, the next thing what we can do is to put them on the deck. And as I see in so many videos from beginners and sometimes also from experienced modelers, they start with the center line, which is correct, and then when they come to the edge, they just continue like this, and then like this. So when they are finished, they will cut off the excess there on the curve. And that is the easiest way, but unfortunately also the wrongest way. So let me show you some options in this video how you can improve your deck planking. So from my knowledge and what I see in other videos and also from original ships which has wooden decks, the first thing what we have to do, I call this framing. So we have the edge of the deck, we have a hatch, we have the hole for the mast, and we have the superstructure or the cabin or whatsoever. So first thing what I do when I start planking the deck is to frame this. That means I put all the planks around the edges like this. Okay, so I hope you can see that, and that looks in general like this. So let me fix those planks and then I will come back. Okay, so I think that was not really complicated and understandable. You see that we have a curve. It's not continuously, but we have a curve. So the end of these planks, we have to angle it very slightly. We can eyeball it. We don't have to measure the angle or whatsoever. Slightly eyeball it and then continue making this curve. And in the end, it looks like this. So if this will be the edge, we can sand this down and then you have a round curve. Very simple. So next thing, we have to frame those hatches or the opening of those hatches. And this is also really easy to explain. If it's rectangular or square, then it's really easy. So each corner will be 90 degrees, or the end of one plank is 45 degrees. So if we have one of these choppers, it's not complicated, we can adjust it 45 degrees and it's finished. But in case we don't have this, what we do to get the correct angle, we can try it or we can make it this way. So let us first put some glue on two of these planks, and the first two planks I put on these hatches, or the frame on this hatch, is always on the opposite side. So we put one there, and then on the opposite side. So those are now parallel. So to get the right angle, we use the other two planks, what we use for this, and put it on top of this. So in this case it really doesn't matter if this is a correct 90-degree angle. So we use our sharp knife, in my case the scalpel, and we put one end of the blade there in this corner and one blade in the other corner, and cut through both planks. And if we remove the excess there and there, you see that we have a perfect right angle there. And we continue this on all four corners with all four planks. Okay, so one finished, I will finish also the other side. And then we continue with this irregular shape, and we do it in the same manner. So as you can see, the first square has four perfect corners, and it's really not complicated if you follow my guide. So I prepared already the irregular shape, or the trapeze form. I really don't know what's the right term in English. So that you can see that this style works on any angle. So I fixed already both planks on the opposite sides, and then put the first plank there and there, and cut it from one side to the other. It's always useful that you do not wait until the until the glue for the first two planks has cured, because then it will be not so easy to remove the excess of the planks. So you can see that this is also a perfect angle or perfect corner. So I will finish this and do the same on the other side. Okay, so the last thing what we attend is the hole for, let us pretend, the mast, and how we do that. Okay, so we drilled out the hole, and then we have to divide it. Let us make one line through the center, and that divided by 90 degrees, and divide that angle further by 45 degrees. That's not all perfect, it's just eyeballing. If you do it on your model, just take something for measuring the angles, but in the end it should look like this. So the next, we can take our planks and put it on this, and two things: the plank should be insert a little bit in this hole. Why? Later on we can cut or file this out, and we have a perfect round hole in the center. So let us do first this one, continue the line and cutting those pieces. So when we are finished with that, we will end up with something what looks like this. And if you measure the 45 degrees segments, it will look also much better than what I have done here in this presentation. And now we can cut out the excess inside it or use a file, and that should look like this. Okay, you can make it finer with a file or a rotary tool, and there will be a perfect hole. So we are basically set for putting on the planks on the deck. But since I said before in the beginning that we want to try out the different ways of imitate the caulking, I prepared 3 bundles of planks, and the one bundle we will put the black yarn, on the other bundle we put the oil pastel, and on the other bundle we will use the permanent marker. So how we prepare this? So well, for using the oil pastel or even the permanent marker, we make some bundles of this pre-cut planks and put some clumps on it, and then we go with the oil pastel or the permanent marker and paint or mark the edges of these bundles, and I will do this around each bundle. Okay, so this is the result of the oil pastels, and as you can see you have a really black edge on each plank. Disadvantage for this, in my opinion, is first of all you got dirty fingers from it, and you almost can't avoid to get some of these oil pastels on the top of the planks. Anyway, you can turn it around, so you use the other side, and if you put it like this, then you have some clean planks. Okay, those are the oil pastels. What is a little bit cleaner or looks cleaner are the permanent marker. For me, it was much more time consuming to mark all the edges with the permanent marker. That can be because I have a very fine permanent marker, might be different if you use a wider permanent marker, but if you look closely you can see that the marker didn't reach all the nooks and crannies in around the edges. So okay, as I said before, we will try it out and how it looks on the model ship. So we will start in the rear section with the oil pastel prepared planks, and the first plank we ever lay is the center plank. We start always from the center and then going left and right. So okay, so as you can see, I fixed already the 2 planks in the center and then prepared the next plank who is beside this. So the disadvantage, or another disadvantage in my eyes, is that every time you cut those prepared planks, the side you have cut, you need to paint again or prepare again with oil pastels. And if you already watch closely to those 3 planks I put on, it's almost unavoidable that you have a really dirty surface, because these oil pastels will never really dry. So every time you touch it, even you use gloves, you put it on the other surface of the deck. Anyway, so I will continue this pattern and consume all the prepared planks, and then we start the next section which we have prepared with the permanent marker. So the first segment is done with the oil pastels, and as you can see it gives you a lot of dirty fingers. The black strip is really visible, and what is also visible are the black fingerprints on all over the deck. And okay, that might be disappear later on if we send the deck flush, but let us see how this will lead us. So the next section I will put on the planks with the permanent marker, and when I finish this section I will show you the result. So we have also finished now the section with the permanent marker, and as you can see, that's much more cleaner than working with the oil pastels. As you also can see in comparison that the black line between the planks are not that visible as the same with the oil pastels, but it is still visible, so you still have a dark line in between those light planks. Okay, so the next and also the last is my personal favorite, and for that we use the black yarn. So the first thing what I will do is to switch to a standard PVA glue who cures transparent after he hardens, because the wood glue mostly getting yellow after drying, and I don't want to have this effect. So since we're already in the bow section or in the stern section and we have this curve, uh, if we are going standard and easy, we will cut the next plank for here like this. But in reality this will never happen, because this slim uh, wedges will easy rot. So there will in original there will be never a sharp corner like this. In original they look like this, or check this picture. So how we do this on the model ship? So how we replicate this is basically very simple. In this case the plank is 5 millimeters wide and half of this is 2.5 millimeters. So we have to mark it at 2.5 millimeters and put it on top of our model shape. So from this 2.5 millimeter where it meets to the, let's say, frame, we cut it in an angle and the result will be like this. Sure that we also have to cut this shape in the frame plank and got this part out of this. So the result will look like this, and then you can insert this plank. But since we will use this very thin yarn for caulking, we cut this a tiny bit smaller than it fits perfectly into this frame. Really only a tiny bit. On all sides. So if you fit it again, that will be a really loose fit. As you can see, there are tiny gaps all around. Okay, so next we got some of this black yarn, some small pieces, and a tweezer, and now we put some of the PVA glue. And put one of this black yarn in this corner and the other one. Don't worry if the yarn is really soaking with PVA glue, because after it dries it got transparent and then you will see the black yarn again. So when we have put the yarn in position, we can also put the plank in position. So, and now we have to wait a little bit and cut the excess of these yarns on each corner. Okay, so I finished up the whole edge of this until we got back to the straight, and that should be the result if you follow my guide. Honestly speaking, even I know how to do this, I never have done this on my model ships because it's really a little bit of time consuming. But if you're into a realistic deck planking, this should be the way how to do it. Okay, so the very last thing is we make a test to sand all this flush, because all the people, or some people I gave advice to put some black yarn in between the planks, are complaining that when they are sanding the deck, it will pull out the yarn, and this did never happen to me. The important thing is that you need a yarn what is thinner than the deck plank. So I think that the yarn I'm using is between 0.2 and 0.3 millimeters. And it's also very important that you do not use any cotton yarns. Use some synthetic yarns which are not fuzzy. That's one important thing. And put enough glue on it so that the whole yarn is covered with glue. So we make a short test how to send it and what's the result of that. Okay, so you can see I didn't pull out any yarn in between those planks. And the thing what I'm doing now after I've sent everything flush is to put some sanding sealer on it. And after that, if you like, you can put some washes or oil paints or whatever you want to do on the deck. So that's the way. And let us also try the other two options with the permanent marker. Okay, that is also very quick and nothing much to say about it. And the last thing is the one we made with the oil pastels. So as you can see, that's the worst thing whatever happened, because you will scrub the oil pastels all over your deck. And it's the same while working with it, you have it on your fingers and your fingerprints are all over it. So my opinion is still the black yarn or the permanent marker. The oil pastels are really visible, and if you're making a weathered deck, it might be an option, but it's a really dirty job. Okay, so The permanent marker, yeah, it's okay, but the dark strip in between is not that visible as the same as if you're working with the black yarn. Okay, so that was a short tutorial. Short, you can't say short because it's already a very long video. I hope it helped you to improve your skills in deck planking, and it also gave you some advices. If you have any comments or suggestion what you like to see more in specific or another tips and tricks video, let me know in the comments below. So, up to then, stay tuned and see you there.